Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, and if you're new here, thanks for joining me. I'm Katie and today I'm painting a tiger. So you may have noticed throughout July I had subscribed to a couple of overseas art mystery boxes, those including Art Snacks and smartart. I feel like I gained quite a few good things out of both of those boxes. I think the best one for me personally was the smartart box, because I really loved those watercolour, well, the liquid watercolours as well as those Spectrum Noir watercolour markers, which really surprised me and still continue to do. With Art Snacks, I received a Grumbacher. Well, it's like a magical sketch pad where you can rip the pages and put them back in again. And I did actually go on and manage to find a watercolour version of that, which is what I'm using for the tiger. But had I not subscribed to Art Snacks, I would not have known these things existed in the first place. Other ingredients I've used as well are the Molotow masking fluid pen, which I must admit actually is possibly one of the best masking pens I've used so far, and you know I love a good masking pen. Now, what else am I using on today's work? Well, I'd been on AliExpress again and I decided to buy one of those black inks with the sparkly microparticles in them, and they have a gold accent, so that is why I decided to paint a tiger. Just to build up the layers to begin with, I've masked everywhere off, and now I've gone in and used a wet and wet technique to gradually add the colours and just ever so slightly outline where the stripes are going to be and areas next to where the stripes are going to be. And I absolutely love how these bloom into one another. It's so nice, and I like how subtle they dry. They do dry a little differently, a little lighter you could say, but I don't think that has a bad impact, especially when it's next to a dark contrasting colour like this gorgeous black ink. There are lots of different black inks with the gold microparticles on AliExpress, so I do recommend having a look and just see which fits in best for your budget and for your shipping as well, because this did take a little while to arrive. I must admit though, I was really impressed with how evenly this went on. It did not take a lot of working in, and it dried quite flatly as well, which again surprised me, and maybe that's down to my ink work and I'm a little bit inconsistent with it on larger areas, but the laydown of that was really good and it surprised me. I think it only cost me about £4, so bravo, nice one AliExpress. I'd added a very, very light wash where the white bits of the tiger are going to be, and you can notice that difference once I have removed the masking fluid. Now, some areas I did want to keep white as the paper was, and then other areas I do merge them in, and because those watercolours, the liquid watercolours, reactivate, this was super handy to do that with, and it just means I've got some softer lines where I want them and I've still got the harsher lines. I still go in there with those watercolours, but it isn't quite as apparent. At this point as well, I've already used some of the Spectrum Noir and I've just swirled them around in the palette and diluted the ink with some water, and that again is to just add in some very subtle details here and there. This one's all about building up layers to create those fur textures. You might have noticed on one of my previous videos where I've painted my dog Chester, and if you haven't seen that you should go and watch it and tell Chester he is a good boy in the comments. I have approached this with a slightly similar and slightly different technique. I've obviously gone in there with a base colour, but this is quite a stylised picture here. But again, the principle of adding those fur details over the top with darker and I suppose more saturated tones still applies. Now it's time to add those black details where the stripes are and where the tiger's mouth is and where the stronger shadows are. Although this is a stylised picture I'm doing here, I still want the stripes on the tiger to make sense. By using a rigger brush rather than the brushes I had been using previously, which were round brushes for washes, the rigger brush enables me to add those fur details in as well as the stripes, because tiger stripes are not blocky. They're on fur, they're made out of fur, so why would I paint them differently? Even if this is stylised, I still want them to make sense. Now you may have noticed that this was pre-drawn, as a lot of mine are, due to not liking working on a completely flat surface. And if you want a handy little hint, I decided not to use regular graphite for this, and I used a colour pencil. Specifically, I used the Pilot Colour Eno, I think it's called, and that's a mechanical pencil, but you can achieve this with any coloured pencil, and as long as you draw on very faintly where you want to go with things, it will still erase. If you use a plastic based eraser, it will come off. Just make sure you put those lines in very, very faintly. Because I'd used an orange colour to draw it out with, any lines that didn't want to lift off, it's not a problem, it's going to blend in with your picture, so don't worry about it too much. And that's my handy hint for today. Now the majority of the stripes are all drawn in, and now is the time to start using those markers, and I alternate between using the red tones and the orange tones and washing them and merging them in a little bit more with the paintbrush. It's not very often I use watercolour markers, and I think the smartart box that I had kind of reignited that for me. I mean, I do have them, I have featured them before, and I do tend to take them to life drawing classes. So to be able to sort of boost my skills as you would, it's really nice to be able to do that, and hopefully when life drawing starts back up again, I'll have some new fresh skills to take with me and some new techniques and fresh eyes with it. After being as careful as I could with that masking fluid pen, sometimes there are certain areas where I remove it and forget I need that area white. So the good old Uniball Signo gel pen in white just adds those finishing touches, for example the whiskers and maybe a few areas of fur where I want some highlights, and of course the white in his eyes. I'm actually really pleased with how this came out, and I'm again really surprised by the ink I purchased from AliExpress. It does have just ever such a slight gold sparkle, it's not overwhelming, and I think it complements the picture really well, and this is a good example of adding a nice metallic touch without going too far with it. I'm also pleased as well with the sketch pad again, because this can go at the front now, and it looks like I did a perfect picture on the front page of my sketch pad where I can change all the pages around anyway. But hush, don't tell anyone. Anyway, you lovely lot, I do hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope you've picked up a few handy hints here and there, and I would love to hear what you think in the comments. I just want to say a massive thank you for watching, and I do hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and there should be on screen a couple more videos for you to go at as well. Until the next one though, take care guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye!